Who here has heard the term toxic masculinity? Raise your hand if you've heard it. Haven't heard it? Haven't heard it. Okay, so all of us but you two. Can one of the younger guys explain what toxic masculinity is? Younger guys, I'm counting you, and you.
Assuming what it is.
Sorry, Frank.
I would say toxic masculinity is like when you're, I wouldn't say overbearing, but you become, where your partner or your wife is more of a servant type. Is right, you're controlling the aspect of it where like you're in charge, you're doing what I want, instead of walking together and the male leading the steps.
So basically me a year and a half ago.
Well,
admittedly, I don't
So,
know.
yeah, let's take different.
I don't care.
Okay.
I
views
don't
of
know.
this.
I don't know if toxic masculinity has just like a strict definition.
I got no-
'Cause
Right,
some
I'm
people will
asking for
define-
more,
I don't
for
really
more what you
Yeah.
see it as and what you feel like people.
I just think it's a toxic person who just happens to be a man.
And probably
Please don't.
uses the
That's a bad
masculinity
idea.
they have to a certain extent
Yeah.
where that.
Because
ends up
again,
being
I
a
don't
problem.
think masculinity in any sense is toxic. It's
That
just
would
the
be a
person
terrible
is.
idea for you.
Who
Yeah.
just happened to be a man.
Yeah, and I guess their masculine
You better
traits
hope.
kind of
Yeah.
Can-
So I feel like that's usually
the
It becomes
toxicity.
overpowering.
Yeah,
Well,
forms into
because
those
the thing is,
masculine traits.
a lot of people today will assume if you start defining a like masculinity as toxic, people will start defining all masculinity as toxic.
Right,
So it's
Right.
just like it's a toxic person who happens to be a man.
right.
and the definition of masculinity may be used incorrectly in that analogy
agree.
as well.
I agree.
So
Yeah.
I think that's what's being used around the world right now.
Yeah, I think if I had to define it, it'd probably be obviously men and women both use it, but I feel like women use it more like towards a man just because they're like, you know, like you said, like this man is toxic, and some of the masculine traits he has, it's just like who's heard the term mansplaining? Like when a guy just explains something.
Oh,
Like
yes.
that a woman couldn't do. Like,
Yeah.
like if a man comes up to a woman and he's like, here's how you change a tire. Like,
Yeah.
that's like mansplaining or whatever, right? So, like, I feel like those two can go, like, hand in hand. And I feel that women usually, like, use it towards a man. Like, don't be a toxic man.
It's not just for something that like a man would traditionally
True.
do.
Yeah.
It could
True.
just be like you say something and they're like, what do you mean by that? And then you explain yourself
So simplicity.
like dumbing it down, and you're like, oh, don't mansplain me. I'm,
Yeah.
It's like, but you asked me to.
You asked me to explain
You asked
myself.
me what did you mean?
Right.
Because men also just like to
So I
explain how to
eat
do
little
stuff.
baby ones.
And-
so you
We're
understand simple me.
And I think we are simple creatures. I think that's something that men have to realize about the differences of men and women. Men are problem solvers.
Correct.
Problem
That's
based.
what I was going to.
We assess the problem. We want to solve it so we can go on with our lives.
Correct.
Whereas women don't think that way usually. They'll have a problem, and they'll just kind of sit in it sometimes until
wallow.
it passes.
Yeah.
And we're like, we gotta solve this
Yeah,
problem.
solve
And
one,
they
fix
and
it.
they don't really
Yeah.
even want that or need that sometimes. So
And
that's something we gotta point
I
out.
was to say for younger men starting out relationships, stuff like that. That's like one of the number one things I hear women complain about is that men are always trying to solve the problem. Like sometimes they just want you to listen, but our brains don't work. You just have to realize, oh, this is what's happening. I'm just going to not speak. Because they'll be like, oh my goodness, my day was this, blah, 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 blah. I called this, my boss sent me home early because, well, did you
try
check
this?
the schedule?
Did you try-
Why didn't you call and ask them about this beforehand before you drove all the way out there?
And they're like, oh,
They're
just
like,
speak
I'm not asking you for a solution to my problem, even though that does make sense, what you're saying right now. But just listen, relax, let me open, vent. If I need your input, I'll ask for it.
Right.
And that's one of the hardest things as a man, because I am 100% a masculine male, and I like to solve
Yeah.
those
And I-
problems instantly. I'm like, oh,
And I think
it's so hard
I don't
not
think
to
it's
do it.
even as a masculine male myself. I would assume I'm one.
Yeah, that's what
I mean, yeah.
assumption.
You know, that's what I picture myself as. But
How you really see yourself.
right. But like as men, I feel like your job in society is very much based on how well can you solve problems. A lot of jobs are like that. A lot of men take on very hard jobs that are very problem solving based. So you know, we kind of get nurtured and conditioned to that. And you know, some men who aren't good at solving problems get looked at as less a man by men and women in just culture. It happens.
Yeah.
So that's like something sometimes we get conditioned to do. Not all the time, but it happens.
And our the United States right now is so super hypersensitive right now because you have the whole feminist movement moving in,
Right.
which is funny. I actually saw Keenan Peele, I think, or no, I don't even know what it was. A skit where we were talking about the Titanic. It was like Titanic 2024, and so like men and children on the boat first, and the women were like, wait, what? Like, it's what you guys wanted. They're like, no, we don't. We don't want that. You're like, this is what you guys asked for.
We wanted it until
no,
it
screw
becomes
that.
a
We don't want to
problem.
do that. Like, well, it's too late. It's 2024. And so like the male's on the door, like asking. She's like, never let go. And like she just faces. He's like, no, let go. And I was like, looking at. I was like, yeah. I mean, how far does this go? I
Right.
mean, we went from defund the police departments to now we need you to we don't want males and now we want males. I think
Right.
the culture right now is so out of whack